What's up, spoon lickers? This is Kitty from Kitty Learns Too, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about one of my favorite cookbooks. Now, when I first started the hashtag Kitty Learns to Cook, I did not know what I was doing. I could barely cook an egg. Sometimes even a scrambled egg, I would mess that up. It would stick to the pan. I had to throw away a lot of food. And as someone who cares a lot about the environment, throwing away food, not my jam. So I started to try to teach myself, and part of what hashtag Kitty Learns to Cook on Instagram was about was getting me to cook on a consistent basis by having my friends get excited about what I was cooking and make me want to do it a little bit more. I'm kind of an introvert, so I don't tend to have a lot of people over. So there's not a lot of reasons for me to cook unless I'm doing hashtag Kitty Learns to Cook. Except now I actually want to have people over and I want to cook for them, which wasn't where I started at all. So part of what I wanted to show you was on this journey, I had this cookbook. It's called the Frugal Foodie, and it's fantastic. It's by Lara Starr and Lynette Shirk, and it's a bunch of recipes for people who don't really know how to cook, don't have a lot of money, and are a little nervous about what they're doing. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, the recipes in this book, they're not gluten-free, they're not vegan, they're not necessarily even healthy, but what they are is they're filling meals that you can get ingredients for from your local dollar store. So if you live in a food desert, you can use this cookbook, which is super handy because more and more people I know live in food deserts, which is a huge problem if you don't have access to fresh produce, if you don't have access to bunches of different spices. A lot of cookbooks aren't really that accessible. But with this, they have ingredients in here that's like, there's one whole series in here that I love that's like, okay, you get a rotisserie chicken. Here is a whole bunch, like a week's worth of things you can do with that rotisserie chicken, from eating it normally to making it into sandwiches to then making it into a soup, making a stock. So it uses everything that you get, which I think is really handy, especially if you're stretching out a budget. Another thing I really love about this is there's a whole chart in here about salads. So I don't know if you're anything like me, but I love getting salads in restaurants because they seem really fancy and they've got fruit in it and just seems like stuff that I wouldn't really think to put in a salad. I'm used to salads that are like what you get when you go to like Arizona and they're like, here you go, here's a salad. It is basically what we would put in a burger, but without the burger part, and the burger bun is made into croutons. That's what my idea of a salad was. This chart that they have in here, I don't know if you can really see that, but what's cool is that it gives you what kind of greens and some savory things you can put in there, and then crunchy things and sweet things and what kind of dressing. So that way you can make a really fancy seeming salad out of whatever you have lying around, which I think is really convenient. So yeah, I think that this is a handy cookbook to have when you're first learning how to cook, or if you're interested in figuring out what you could make out of stuff when you're living in a food desert, or if you're living in if you're living off of stuff like Costco, where you get a lot of things in bulk and you're like, I've kind of run out of ideas for all of these elbow macaronis, this book might be able to help you out. I wouldn't say that the food in here is fancy, but it's very comforting. And I think that that can be really helpful, especially when you're struggling. I'd also say from personal experience, this recipe book was fantastic for depression cooking, or when I was low on physical energy, if I didn't have a lot of oomph in me to cook a fancy thing or to really cook anything at all. This gave me some options that were a little bit nicer than making a sandwich, but weren't as complicated as like making chili from scratch. So I think it was like a good balance. Anyway, check it out, the Frugal Foodie Cookbook, and let me know what you think in the comments. Hit subscribe if you're curious to hear what other cookbooks I recommend. And thanks for hanging out. Lick your spoons.